Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Political Ray. I hope you all had a good evening yesterday, and we'll get into some news here. Um, this is Political Ray with me, Ray, and I am live every morning on Rumble from 7:30 Eastern to roughly, I usually try to get about an hour in here, but just ahead of the Rumble lineup, which is taking off. Okay, we got the Rumble lineup starting at 9 a.m. all the way to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it is hitting the number one shows in every single time slot. So Rumble's taking over, and if you haven't gone over to Rumble yet, get yourself over to Rumble. That's where it's at. Anyway, let's see. We're gonna have Cory Booker, who broke a record as far as standing on the Senate floor giving a speech. Now they say this was a filibuster. It wasn't really a filibuster because he wasn't holding anything up. I think there was a bill as far as like to get rid of not income tax, but taxes on tips. Okay. Other than that, I don't know what else he was holding up. I wouldn't really call it a filibuster. I would just call it an anti-Trump speech that went on for 25 plus hours. Good on you, I guess. Sure. Anyway, we got that. We got a couple other stories with some deportations happening. We've got the Wisconsin election took place yesterday. Overall, it was a loss, but we do have some good news that came out of it, and we'll get into that. And hey, let's just go ahead and just get into this. We'll let me go ahead and shrink myself down here, and we'll get into Cory Booker. Again, I'll say this guy. I give him props for standing up there and talking for 25 plus hours. It was just over 25 hours. That's a long time to talk. I couldn't do it. Couldn't stand up there. I'll tell you right now, I couldn't stand up there for 25 hours. Now, apparently, this guy fasted in preparation for this and everything else. I give him props where props are due. I mean, the guy, I guess, if that's what you want to do, but it was just a big, I guess they say it was to try and rally the Democrats in opposition to President Trump. Again, good on you, I guess. I don't really know what this accomplishes, but hey, he did it anyway. People are calling him Spartacus. Sure. Okay, I guess. I mean, like I said, I give the guy props, but take a look at this. This is this is just it's wild to me that this guy stood up here for 25 hours and didn't really say a whole lot of anything, just how much they hate Trump and they need to take him down, I guess. I don't know. We'll take a look at this.
To call to the conscience of this nation, to say, I will not stand for another American to lose their health care for a billionaire. I will not stand for another veteran who's dedicated to stopping the suicide of other veterans to lose their job. I won't stand for the air quality in my community to be made worse because they're letting polluters pollute more. I won't stand for the collective assaults.
Okay, real quick, just a couple things to point out here, okay? I'm sure he's talking about Medicaid and Medicare, which I've covered before. There's no cuts to Medicaid anywhere that I've seen, anywhere to this point. Medicare, there actually has been an increase in funds to Medicare. So the lie, this narrative that they keep pushing out that Trump is cutting Medicaid and Medicare is simply not true. I've said it before. Apparently, I'm going to have to say it 100 times more because they keep pushing the lie that this is going to happen. It's happening now. Blah, 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 blah. It's not happening. Okay. There's nothing saying that he's cutting any of this stuff. As I said before, Medicare got a big bump in funds, and there's been no cuts to Medicaid. None. Let me know if I'm wrong. I haven't seen anything to say that has been happening. Anyway, we'll keep going. And the pollution, these guys were the ones pushing the EVs. Now they're against them because Elon's in Trump's corner. So come at me with something else. Anyway, here we go.
On the Constitution by a man who even the highest judge in our land, a Republican-appointed judge, said stop threatening and bullying other branches of government. When is it going to be enough? My voice is inadequate. My efforts today are inadequate.
Yes, I would agree with that.
To stop what they're trying to do. But we, the people, are powerful. We are strong. We have changed history. We have bent the arc of the moral universe. And now is that moral moment again. It's the moral moment again.
Look, I encourage everyone to look into everything. Don't just go off of what anyone says, including the right. Okay? Right, left, center, whoever it may be. Do your own research. When somebody spouts something, look into it. Use Grok, use Google, Yahoo. I don't care. Just look into it and see. I mean, and you're going to get a lot of bias as far as major news outlets, mostly, CNN, MSNBC, CBS. They're going to be left leaning. The majority, 90% of these mainstream media outlets are left leaning. Fox is kind of, I wouldn't say that they're right. I wouldn't. I say that they actually do have some right wing pundits on there. They have, I mean, Sean Hannity. You've got Gutfield. I mean, they do have right leaning conservatives on Fox News, which is more than I can say for CNN, CBS, NBC, CBS, whatever it is. I mean, but I would still classify Fox as kind of middle of the road because they do push a lot of the other crap that the left wing does as well. So I wouldn't completely say that Fox is right wing. Anyway, that being said, just do your own research. Look into things. This guy, I haven't heard anything truthful out of his mouth from any of the clips that I've seen from this. Anyway, we'll keep going.
God bless America. We need you now. God bless America. If you love her, if you love your neighbor, if you love this country, show your love. Stop them from doing what they're trying to do for almost 20 hours. We have laid out what they're trying to do, 20 hours. I want to stand more, and I will, but I'm begging people, don't let this be another normal day in America. Please, God, don't let them take Medicaid away from 10, 20, 30, or 40 million Americans.
They're not. They're not. Again, I'll say it again. Medicaid, there's no evidence that I have found anywhere saying that they have. There's talks about it from CNN, CBS, NBC, MSNBC, yada yada yada. They talk about it a lot because it's a hot button issue, and they're gonna get clicks from it. This is not happening. Again, I'll say it one more time. Medicare got a huge bump in pay. There's been more funds allocated to Medicare from last year to this year. Huge bump. I can't tell you the exact number offhand, but it was big. It was a big increase. I covered it before. Medicaid, I've not seen anything saying that it's being cut or anything else. It's left-wing propaganda.
Desperately need it. Don't let them do it.
There you go. I mean, anybody who watched this thing in its entirety, I give you props as well because there's no way I could watch all of it. The guy rambles on and on and on and on, kind of like I do sometimes, but I again, I'll give him props because I couldn't stand up there for 25 plus hours talking about nonsense. Now, he did get breaks from his Democratic colleagues, where they would ask a question, blah, blah, blah. They let him take a sip of water, what have you. But this guy, I mean, again, I'll give him props. He prepared for this, and he broke the record by what, over an hour. I forget who was held by before, but I give him props for being up there that long. But that's about it. He just rambled on about stuff, and I don't know what he was talking about. But the stuff that I did understand was just lies. You be the judge, though. If you want to watch it, if you want to watch the thing in its entirety, I couldn't sit down for all of it. I just caught clips, but everything I saw, none of it made sense other than the fact that what he was spouting was just lies. So, I mean, you can take a look at it and you be the judge. I mean, there's that. But while this is just before he took the Senate floor, apparently one of his aides, let me get rid of this here. One of his aides was actually arrested for having a gun on the property. This is from the Post Millennial. Cory Booker staffer arrested in Capitol for carrying pistol without license as Democratic senator undertakes 20-plus hour filibuster. It's not a filibuster. Look, I like the Post Millennial, but this was not a filibuster. It was just a rant against President Trump and against the Republicans. That's all it was. I wouldn't call it a filibuster. I guess that's just my opinion, but that's what everybody's calling it. I wouldn't say that. But let's see. Ahead of Senator Cory Booker's marathon overnight speech that was still ongoing as of 4 p.m. Tuesday, one of the Democrat lawmakers' staffers was arrested for possession of a pistol without a license. Why? Why did they have? Why? I thought the left didn't like guns, but hey, I digress. Capitol Police told The Hill in a statement yesterday afternoon a member of Congress led a IDED staff member around security screening at the Hart Senate office building. Later that evening, outside the Senate galleries, the IDED staff member, who was a retired law enforcement officer, told our officers he was armed. Let's see. The staff member, 59-year-old Kevin A. Batts, was of New Jersey, was arrested for carrying a pistol without a license. All weapons are prohibited from the Capitol grounds, even if you are a retired law enforcement officer. If you have a permit to carry in another state or the District of Columbia, it's still not. You still can't. Apparently, can't. You can't carry. And I don't know if this guy was a part of his security detail or what have you. I don't know. Anyway, the arrest reportedly took place around 6:29 p.m. on Monday, while Booker began his marathon speech around 30 minutes later. At the start of his speech, Booker said, "These are not normal times in our nation, and they should not be treated as such in the United States Senate. The threats to the American people and American democracy are grave and urgent, and we all must do more to stand against them." Okay. The guys, I don't know. The left I think, they're just completely losing their minds over what? Trump cleaning up the streets. He's getting rid of the illegal immigrants that have flooded our borders over the last 4 years with President Biden in office. Cleaning up government agencies and fraud and everything else. If you're against government cleanup, against fraud, then you're either part of the problem and you're receiving kickbacks, or you're just not a good person. And if you're against taking illegal criminals out of our country, you're not a good person. That's all there is to that. If you're one of the people who think that these criminal people who are here illegally should not be deported, you're not a good person. I'm sorry. If you're advocating for criminals who commit all kind of heinous crimes, MS-13 and the TDA Venezuelan gang, if you want those types of people within this country, you're not a good person. I'm sorry. That's all there is to it. That's my opinion. You can hate on it or whatever you want to do, but look, that's how I feel about it. You're not a good person if you want these kinds of people within the United States. These people got committed of crimes that they did within the US, and then in a lot of cases they were just let back out onto the streets because of Democrats' soft policies on crime. I'm okay with them leaving the US. Anyway, I digress. I'm rambling a little bit again, but excuse me. Let's see what else we got here. Just before taking the floor on Monday morning, Booker wrote on X, "I've taken the Senate floor and will speak for as long as I am physically able to lift the voices of Americans who are being harmed and not being heard in this moment of crisis." Let's see. That's what he said on X. An update posted on Monday morning at 8 a.m. stated, "It's been over 13 hours since I started speaking, and I intend to stay on the Senate floor as long as I am physically able. I'm here to do my job as a senator from New Jersey to lift voices of Americans who are being harmed by President Trump. I'm speaking up." Again, I don't think that this is a filibuster. I don't think it should be classified as a filibuster. The guy's just doing an anti-rant on President Trump. That's how I think. That's what I think about it. And this is the other thing. How this doesn't look like he's actually on the floor. And he says it's been over 13 hours. Looks like he's sitting down, maybe taking a sip of water, a little break. So, everything says that he was standing for consistently of 25 plus hours, but this little tweet, X post, whatever you call it, it looks like he's sitting down taking a little break, putting it out on X, saying, look at how good I'm trying to do. Okay, but anyway, a White House spokesman told the Washington Post in an email, Cory Booker is looking for another "I am Spartacus" moment but that didn't work for his failed presidential campaign, and it didn't work to block President Trump's Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. As Booker is not aiming to delay passing a bill or confirming a nominee, his speech is not a filibuster. Yes, thank you. However, fellow Dem Senator Tim Kaine said that Booker's speech would likely delay a vote on his resolution that would reverse Trump's tariffs on Canada to Wednesday. Kaine said that despite this, he supports Booker's effort. Okay. Well, they're not going to go against their own. Anyway, Booker has been allowed brief breaks from speaking while yielding the floor to questions from fellow Democrats in the chamber. My efforts today are inadequate to stop what they are trying to do, but we, the people, are powerful. We are strong. We have changed history. We have bent the arc of the moral universe and is now the moral moment again. Booker said at one point. Look, I agree with that statement. I do. Americans have flipped the script. President Trump won overwhelmingly the presidency, winning not only the popular vote but the electoral college, winning every single swing state. Which, not to toot my own horn, but I called it. You can go back to my previous videos. I said that he was going to win every swing state. That's just me tooting my own horn, I guess. Anyway, but hey. Let's see what else we got here. At another point, Booker said, I don't want a Disney vacation of our history. I don't want a whitewashed history. I don't want a homogenized history. Tell me the wretched truth about America because that speaks to our greatness. I agree with that too. Look, you don't have the greatest country on earth without going through some trials and tribulations. Is American history 100% pure? Absolutely not. We're only human. There's some dark times in our history. That's fine. But look at where we have come now. I mean, it's kind of in chaos now, but look, as I said, you don't have the greatest country in the world without going through some trials and some tribulations and overcoming obstacles and what have you. There's been some dark times in our history. I think we're going through one now. And I'm telling you, all because people just don't like who the president is. I don't feel like that's a good enough reason to be doing these types of actions. You got people burning up Tesla stations, the dealerships, the charging stations. You've got normal citizens, and again, I've said this 100 times before too. People who are Democrats who bought Teslas because Democrats were pushing the EV mandate. This was one of Biden's things. People bought these vehicles because there was an EV mandate and we wanted to go green and no gas vehicles by some 2030 something. But now these same people who wanted to go green and wanted to save the so-called climate change and all this crap, now they're being attacked because they went along with the EV mandate. Anyway. What else we got here? No, looks like that's pretty much it. Let's see what I want to hear this one. I don't think I've seen this one yet. Let's see this.
And now it's our generation. We have to redeem the dream. We have to excite people again. He, in the highest office of our land, wants to divide us against ourselves, wants to make us afraid, wants to make us...
That's what you're doing. That's what the Democrats are doing. Somebody explain this to me. This is an honest question, okay? How is this guy going to come out and say that President Trump is dividing the country, sowing division? What did he say? Let me just rewind it just a little bit here because I want to make sure I got this right.
And now it's our generation. We have to redeem the dream. We have to excite people again. He, in the highest office of our land, wants to divide us against ourselves, wants to make us afraid.
Afraid. The Democrats look, there has been no one on the left who has come out against these people committing acts of terrorism against Tesla dealerships, the charging stations, and the American citizens. Not one of these Democrats has come out against this stuff. And they're going to try and say, and this guy's going to come out here and say, look, President Trump is sowing division. What? Where's your side at coming out saying this has to stop? Where's your side at saying, look, we have to be unified. We cannot be terrorizing our own citizens. against just because of the fact that they own an electric vehicle. Where's your side doing that? They're the ones coming out and saying that, we look, Jasmine Crockett came out and said that she wanted for her birthday for a Tesla takedown. She wanted Elon to go down. They're pushing this crap. What do you think is going to happen? It's the same thing when you called President Trump a Nazi and a threat to democracy. Now you're doing it to Elon because he's in Trump's corner and he's actually cleaning up the government waste and fraud. But you're going to come out here and say that President Trump's the one sowing division. It does not make any sense. The guy is a liar. Anyway.
Wants to make us fear so much that we're willing to violate people's fundamental rights. We're willing to go after the speech on college campuses. We're willing to go after law firms, go after the freedom of the press. Don't let him do that. Don't become like him.
They're not going after speech on college campuses. They're going after people who have violently overtaken a library and have promoted death to America and are here as guests on student visas or what have you. I'll say this again. This is just my opinion. I don't think that people here on student visas should have rights to the First Amendment. That's just my opinion. Now, they do have it. They have that right. They can partake in peaceful protests. Once that protest turns into a riot or a violent takeover of a hall, when you have destruction of property, a security guard that got hurt, what have you. Once that crosses that line, everything's null and void. It's done. I'm fine with it. Anyway, that's what the Republican Party does not want to see. Look, again, I'll say it. I'm not my opinion is I don't think that they should have the right to protest. That's just my opinion. Now, they do have that right. If you want to go and protest and, make your voice heard with a student visa, you have that right. You have the right to voice your opinion. You don't have the right to commit acts of domestic terrorism when you hurt people and you have destruction of property and what have you. That's what we don't want to see. Anyway.
Be an American that says, I look to the future and I'm excited. Yes, things are tough right now. They're hard, they're scary, they're hurting, but we can overcome this. Our American history, if it's nothing else, American history, if it's nothing else, it is a perpetual testimony to the achievement of impossible things against impossible odds. We are a nation that is great, not because of the people that are trying to whitewash our history. To remove great people, Native Americans, black people, and women from our military websites. I don't want a Disneyfication of our history. To remove great people, Native Americans, black people, and women from our military websites.
Who's doing that?
I don't want a Disneyfication of our history.
Who's doing that? Somebody tell me. And what does he mean by Disney vacation? Disney's the most woke company out there right now. What does he mean? I don't understand what he means by that. This is, again, some of the stuff he says, you can just say it's an outright lie. Then stuff like this, you don't even know what he's talking about. None of it makes sense. But anyway.
I don't want to whitewash history. I don't want to homogenize history.
Nobody's doing that.
Tell me the wretched truth about America, because that speaks to our greatness. And so what do I want people to do? It starts with us, man. And you're doing it. I've seen courage of my colleagues. We're doing it, but we have to do more. And I'm sorry. I'm not going to be a politician that's going to say, we are going to do more for you. I'm going to be a politician. I'm going to be a leader that demands more from America.
Will the senator yield for one last question?
I yield for a question while retaining the floor.
Anyway, this is all he's. Look, you got the approval rating of these Democrats is just. I don't know what his goal is in this, other than just a grandstand for 25 plus hours, because, like I said, most of it was lies. What I could make out was lies. The other parts that I couldn't make out, just again, just rambling that I don't understand. Anyway, we'll take a look at this because this is, I mean, I don't. They keep pulling this kind of crap, and then you got stuff like this. This is just their approval rating is in the gutter. I've never, and they don't have a clear leader. You can say maybe it's Cory Booker, AOC, Jasmine Crockett. I've seen a couple things where, AOC the head of the presidential ticket with Jasmine Crockett as the VP. If I guess if you want to run that ticket, I don't know. I've seen AOC and Hillary Clinton as the VP. I've seen uh Bernie Sanders at the head of the ticket with AOC as the VP. I've seen a bunch of different things. The fact of the matter is that the left has no leadership. They don't have look with the Republican side, it's clear as day. President Trump is the leader of the Republican Party. Hate him or like him, that's just how it is right now. After him, maybe JD Vance. I don't know. I'd like to see JD Vance run for presidency. I think the guy's, as far as like a debate, the guy would mop the floor with anybody he went against. Maybe it's Ron DeSantis. I don't know. I think that his presidential run the last time was kind of fell flat. I think he's a fantastic governor, but that's my opinion. I don't think that he's kind of status quo as far as like Republican Party, though he does do a really good job in Florida. I don't think if Ron DeSantis got into the presidency, I don't think that you'd be seeing the gutting of this federal fraud, the gutting of these agencies. I don't think that would have been a thing if Ron DeSantis got into the presidency. Now, I could be wrong. We don't know because he didn't get there. But I tend to believe that he's kind of status quo Republican. He's not going to ruffle a lot of feathers, whereas President Trump's a bull in a china shop, and he's going to just do his thing, and he's not running again. So he can get away with doing all this stuff. He doesn't have to. He's not going to run again. The only difference is JD Vance is still the vice president, and he might have an issue with this kind of stuff if he decides to run for presidency for the next, after President Trump. But anyway, this is again, I rambled on a little bit with that. But, this is just the approval ratings, and again, it's in the gutter. I have not seen Democrat approval ratings this low, not that I can remember anyhow. It's nuts, and like I said, they don't have any leadership. I think that's part of their problem. I think that there's a lot of internal fighting within this party, and the public is not happy with them. But here, we'll take a look at this.
Holy Toledo. Voters' views of the Democrats in Congress among all voters disapprove 68%. And look at the approved number, just 21%, even lower.
Again, I'm just going to stress this because I have not seen this, not that I can remember in my lifetime, the approval rate that low for the Democrat Party. It's nuts. Anyway.
Than the Democratic Party at large. This is the lowest on record for Democrats, according to Quinnipiac University polling. You think these numbers are bad? Let's go to this side of the screen. We'll look how Democratic voters feel. Get this. The plurality of Democratic voters disapprove of Democrats in Congress at 49%.
That's
and just
nuts.
40% approve. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Oh, my goodness gracious, you just can't get worse than these numbers.
And this is the number right here.
Well, I mean,
really
you can.
all of this. If Democrats have turned, if Democratic voters have turned on Democrats in Congress and the Democratic Party, that's what puts the numbers at historic lows. What is it they want to be seeing, these voters?
What is going on? I'll tell you what's going on. They don't like what's coming out of some of those Senate Democrats like Chuck Schumer, because take a look at the direction of the party. Democratic voters on Democrats in Congress doing too little to oppose Donald Trump. Look at this, 77%.
And this is just, look, this plays into the whole TDS thing. And now there's EDS as well. You got Elon deranged syndrome now, as well as Trump deranged syndrome. And this just plays into that because these people, they just, no matter what happens, doesn't matter how much good that President Trump does for the country, it does not matter because these people will not like him regardless of what he does. Anyway, I mean, and when Chuck Schumer came out and said that he was not going to vote on, the spending bill to keep the, government in running And, you know, he initially came out and said that, yes, there's going to be a government shutdown because he's not going to vote on blah, 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 blah. Then he actually changed his mind, and then people just lost their minds on him because he was seen in the Oval Office talking to President Trump. Now, we don't know what was said, but there's a little video that's out there that it shows him within the Oval Office talking to President Trump. They shook hands, blah, blah, blah. And people lost their minds over this. They said Chuck folded and blah, blah, blah. Look, I think Chuck's a shill. I don't like the guy. That's my opinion. But he's gonna flip flop on whatever. He's a grifter. He's gonna do what he needs to. That's it. I don't know what President Trump said to him. I don't know if it was, hey, do this or else. I don't know. But he flopped, and people are very, very upset about it. So
should stay principled, even if it means nothing gets done in Washington, D.C. 65%. And this 65% is such a difference
insane
from where we were in 2017 at this point, when just 33%.
You think about that. That number, 60, what was it, 60-something percent? Even if nothing gets done in government, people should still stay by. Even if it means nothing happens, just keep the status quo. Throw more money at everything and blah, blah, blah. That's crazy to me. Why would you not want things to be taking place? Why would you not want government to be efficient? Look, I'm for small government efficiency and limiting the amount of waste from my taxpayer dollars. To think that people would say, look, I don't care if nothing gets done in the government, just stay by what I think should happen. That's insane to me. That's crazy. I don't understand that. Somebody can try and explain it to me. Comment below. I don't know. I don't get it. Anyway.
Of Democrats say this should stay principled, compared to 59% who said they want to compromise. Democrats do not want compromise at this point. They want a fighter. They want to go into the ring like Muhammad Ali did against Sonny Liston. They want to take down the Republicans. They do not want this compromise anymore. They want to be more like Republicans, get up to that stage and fight. And right now they feel like their leaders in Congress are simply put not doing so. And that is why their approval rating for congressional Democrats is at an all-time low, even among Democrats with more disapproving than approving.
Yeah, it seems that the Senate Democrats, some of them are banking on the idea that there is still a political middle, as it were. We will see. We will see.
Well, we will see if there's a political middle, but at this point, count me skeptical that that is at least what the Democratic base wants at this point. It's going to be very interesting, John, to see moving forward whether or not there are any repercussions come 2026, because I bet there may be some coming.
There might be. Midterms are coming up. I mean, they're still a ways out, but I don't know about the middle. Maybe it's gone. I mean, maybe you just got people that just will not like the Republicans, and then you got the left, crazy left. I mean, maybe there is a middle, because there's still a lot of undecided voters, come to last election that ended up going in and voting. I think the majority of them did vote for President Trump, hence why he's in office now. I can say both cases could be true. I mean, the middle could be completely going away. But on the other hand, you got to think, a lot of them did come out in support of President Trump just because of the fact that the state of the country that we were in, they weren't okay with it. So you've got that as well. Either way, it could be true. But so we got. We'll go ahead and get into this one here. This is Jamie Raskin, and this goes back to the violent gang members and everything else. These people, this guy's openly calling, and we'll get into this. He's openly calling for these people to come back to the United States because they say they didn't get their due process. I can see where due process should be a thing. I can understand that side of the argument. However, if these people are identified, they've had previous crimes, what have you, of gang violence. A lot of them had child trafficking charges. They're not good people. And for these people to come out and say, look, again, I'll say it again. If you're advocating for people who have these types of charges, like child trafficking, I'm not even going to say what goes into that, because we all know. These types of people do not belong here. And I'm okay with them going to the Venezuelan prison. I am. You can hate me for that. You can whatever, but that's just that's what I think. I don't want these people in our communities. I don't want them on our streets, and they can go away. I'm fine with it. Anyway, this is Jamie Raskin saying that these people need to come back. Why? Because he's an evil person. He does not care what happens to his constituents. He doesn't care what happens to the American people. He is an evil man who wants child traffickers and everything else, criminals, murderers. He wants these people back in the United States because he says that President Trump didn't give them their due process. I disagree. I disagree wholeheartedly. I don't want these people in the United States. I don't want them in our communities. I don't want them walking down the streets with our kids. I'm fine with them being gone. But take a look at what he says here.
While appealing whichever ones they want to appeal, and to demand the return of people unlawfully taken to El Salvador on that so-called plane full of gangbangers. And I especially,
now, this is him trying to have criminals come back to the United States. Now, there was that big story about the one. Now they framed it as a loving father and everything else. But look, I am, and you can say what you want, but I am more apt to believe that there was just a clerical error in this. And we'll take a look at what Caroline Leavitt said about this. I'm more apt to believe her over the mainstream left-wing media, MSNBC, CBS, what have you. I'm more apt because of the fact, given the track record that these left-leaning news outlets have, with the lies and everything else that they've pushed and peddled and what have you. I'm more apt to believe what she says here over them. That's just what I think. You can let me know, but again, take a look at this.
Just changing subjects for 1 second. The administration has expressed a complete confidence in how all the deportations to El Salvador were conducted. But now that the administration has conceded that there was an error of one Salvadoran national, will there be any reviews conducted? And does the president express any thoughts on the one error that was disclosed in court last night?
Well, first of all, the error that you are referring to was a clerical error. It was an administrative error. The administration maintains the position that this individual who was deported to El Salvador and will not be returning to our country was a member of the brutal and vicious MS-13 gang. That is fact number one. Fact number two, we also have credible intelligence proving that this individual was involved in human trafficking.
Look, this just for a little bit of context here. This is them talking about, now the Atlantic came out and said that the Trump administration had deported a loving father figure and everything else, placating to people's emotions and saying that this was a wrongful deportation, when in actual reality it was a clerical error. I don't know if that just means that the name was wrong or what have you, but that means the paperwork was wrong on this guy. But in actuality, he was, from what I gathered, it's an MS-13 ringleader who has been charged previously with child trafficking and other heinous crimes. Okay, so again, I'll say it. I'm more apt to believe Caroline Leavitt versus the Atlantic, who was Jeffrey Goldberg is a part of the Atlantic, who pushed the Russia crap, the find people on both sides hoax, and a few others. I'm more apt to believe her over them. That's what I think. You can let me know what you think.
In fact number three, this individual was a member, actually a leader of the brutal MS-13 gang, which this president has designated as a foreign terrorist organization. Fact number four is that foreign terrorists do not have legal protections in the United States of America anymore, and it is within the president's executive authority and power to deport these heinous individuals from American communities. It is a promise he campaigned on. It is a promise he is keeping. And every single person in this room should be grateful for that, considering especially MS-13 is very prevalent and prominent here in the District of Columbia, in Maryland, and in Virginia. And the president, the attorney general, everyone who has been involved in these operations is focused on eradicating these criminals and terrorists from our communities.
The Vice President.
There you go. Look, not only her, okay. I'm going to show you this too. This is from Jesse Waters on Fox News. Now I know people are going to say, "Oh, Ray, Fox News, they're a right-wing outlet." Excuse me. I don't think they are. I think I'm more apt to trust them more than CNN, MSNBC, all them others. But I still don't think that they're a right-leaning news outlet. I think they're more middle of the road because they do. I mean, they take kind of both sides. They kind of go back and forth. They had stories about pushing transgenderism, which I don't agree with, and everything else. So I tend to believe most news outlets are not good, including Fox. That's my opinion. Anyway, but Jesse Waters talked about this. We'll look at this. This is the guy who apparently there was a clerical error. This is the guy who, again, he was charged previously with child trafficking and others. I'm okay with him being gone. He was apparently an MS-13 ringleader. Again, I'm okay with him being gone. I don't want these kind of peoples on our streets, in our neighborhoods, walking down the road with our children playing in the yard. I'm not okay. I'm fine that he's gone. I'm okay with it. If you want this type of people back within the U.S., you're not a good person. You're evil. That's it. Anyway, take a look at what Jesse Waters said about it. This is him talking about it. This is just... Anyway.
Democrats call an MS-13 ringleader a Maryland dad? I think they did. Mr. Kilmore Garcia snuck into this country under Barack Obama and was arrested in 2019 in a sweep of high-ranking members of MS-13. What was a Maryland dad doing hanging out with MS-13? Oh, I know, because he's a verified member of MS-13. That's what the Department of Homeland Security designated him as. The judge thought Garcia was so dangerous, he denied him bond because he was a flight risk. Primetime reached out to Homeland Security, and they said this: the individual in question is a member of the brutal MS-13 gang. We have intelligence reports that he is involved in human trafficking. Whether he is in El Salvador or a detention facility in the United States, he should be locked up.
100% agree. Whether it's here, I'd rather him being there because it's cheaper for us. Look, I know we pay the El Salvadorian prison like a small amount compared to what we would house them here in the U.S. Look, taxpayer dollars go to fund these prisons, to house these people, to give them, 3 meals a day, to give them cots and someplace to sleep, what have you. I mean, prison system's not perfect. I can say that it probably needs a complete overhaul, but I'd rather pay the El Salvador prison a very smaller, much smaller amount than what it would cost us to house them here in the U.S. I'm okay with that. Look, I don't care. This type of person, human trafficking, child trafficking, the worst of the worst people in the world. You can disagree with me. I don't know why you would. This kind of person I don't want walking around our streets where our children are playing in the yard and what have you. I'm fine with him being gone. If you're not, then you're not a good person. I'm sorry, not sorry. Anyway, we'll go ahead and move on because that's it's just we'll go ahead and go on. The Hill, in an article that they put out, says that how Biden's frailties hampered Harris. This is how many months now from the election? And we've got this article now from The Hill. They just can't let it go. They don't understand how they lost. And if they keep going, they're never going to win again. Now, I know with Wisconsin, I know we got that, we kind of failed at that, but there are some silver linings with that, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. But For this one, I don't understand the Hill's reasoning on this, but we'll get into this. Look, Democratic Party officials and White House staffers were well aware of former President Biden's frailties ahead of his choice to end his ill-fated reelection bid last summer, according to the exclusive excerpts of a new book released to the Hill. From the excerpt from Flight Inside the Wildest Battle for the White House by the Hill senior political correspondent Amy Parnes and NBC News senior national politics reporter Jonathan Allen, reveals extensive steps to cover up the signs of Biden's aging and cognitive planning of if Biden chose to step aside or even died in office. President Biden is not the reason why Kamala Harris lost the election. She lost that election all on her own. Prime example, I talked about this, I don't know if it was the last video or the one before, but it was pretty recent. A prime example of it is when she was on The View and Sonny gave her a layup question saying, if there's anything that you could do differently that Biden has done, what would it be? And she said she can't think of anything. Really? Not a thing. How about the border? How about inflation? Just pick something that was terrible during the 4 years that we had President Biden in office. Just pick anything. Why couldn't she say it? She didn't want to go against Biden. The guy's not even there mentally. It doesn't make sense why she wouldn't come up with at least something. It's just Kamala lost this all on her own. She came out and said that she wanted, surgery for trans people in prisons and in the military. We don't look. That whole ad that President Trump put out that said Kamala Harris is for they, them. President Trump is for you. That was a big ad, and it pretty much pushed President Trump over the top, in my opinion. Kamala lost this all by her lonesome. It had nothing to do with Biden. But anyway, I digress. Let's see. It shows that we had to prepare with the unique circumstances we had, which is an 80-plus-year-old president who was running. One party official who was involved in the secret discussion said, according to the two Parnes and Allen, concerns about Biden's age dominated much of his re-election campaign from its launch in April 23 to its end in July 24, following a disastrous debate performance. Yeah, we all saw that. It was a disaster. President Trump wiped the floor. Now, he didn't do so well against Kamala. I'll give him that. As far as debates go, Kamala, she won that debate, hands down. I can't even say that Trump won that. I can't. Kamala did win that debate, but it didn't matter because she shot herself in the foot at every other chance that she had. Anyway, let's see what else we got. Blah, blah, blah. Behind closed doors, officials expressed their own anxieties about Biden's abilities well before he took the stage with the then candidate Donald Trump last June publicly. Democrats scoffed at a Republican claims that Biden wasn't up to the job, the authors wrote. Look, everybody knows that President Biden was in cognitive decline. Everybody knows that. And the mainstream media and the left covered it up for years. And now they're going to come out. They're coming out now and saying that, yes, he was in decline and blah, blah, blah. There was the, oh gosh, I can't remember. I can't think of the guy's name. One of the left-wing pundits, Jake, I think it was Jake Tapper. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. I think it was Jake Tapper that put out a book about the cover-up of Biden's decline. But he was part of it the whole time. I don't know if it was exactly Tapper or if it was somebody else, but I'm not going to read any more of this. Look, basic gist of this is Kamala shot herself in the foot. It had nothing to do with President Biden. Yeah, you can say all you want that she only had 3 months to prepare and blah, 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 where she raised buttloads of money and she still ended up $20 million in debt after the election was over. She did everything wrong with the exception of the debate because like I said, I'll give credit where credit is due. She did win that debate against President Trump. Everything else, she shot herself in the foot, had nothing to do with Biden. She had plenty of opportunities to change people's minds. She didn't do it. She was on The View. She did the Call Her Daddy podcast. I don't think that was a good look for her. She didn't do anything. She's not a good candidate. That's it. Sure, she could probably. There's talks about her running for governor of California. I think she can win that. Simply because of the fact that I think Gavin Newsom he's trying to make a presidential run for the next time around. And I think she has a good chance of winning California because people there like her for some unknown reason. I don't know why, but people there like her. I think she's got a good chance of winning, that election if she chooses to do so. But we'll go ahead and move on here. Now, the Wisconsin election. It was lost. We'll take a look at this, and this is for the Supreme Court judge spots. This is from The Guardian. Wisconsin Supreme Court race liberal Susan Crawford beats Musk-backed candidate. She did. It was pretty clear. Now, I don't know if there was any kind of funding goings on. I don't know. There wasn't. I didn't see anything about other than the fact that there was a shortage of paper ballots at some of the polling locations. That's kind of weird. I don't understand. How do you run out of ballots? Kind of weird. You can let me know what you think about it, but that's a little sus, as my kids would say. Anyway, Susan Crawford won the race for a seat on the Wisconsin Supreme Court on Tuesday. Major win for Democrats, who had framed the race as a referendum on Elon Musk and Donald Trump's popularity. Okay. It's weird that, Wisconsin did go red for President Trump in the election, but they couldn't get enough support to get a Trump and Elon-backed judge. It is a little weird, but, there has been popularity decline as far as Elon and Trump goes. So there is that. I mean, other than the paper ballots thing, that was kind of weird. I didn't see anything else that was like an oh my gosh moment or anything. So there's that. But take a look at this. This is the we'll move this over. Let me get that up. There we go. This is the paper ballots. For some reason, they ran out of paper ballots. I don't. Oh, hey, Heath 613. Appreciate the like and follow. Appreciate it. Anyway, let's see.
All right. Well, the polls are closing at 8 p.m. It is Election Day after all. Now, we do have some breaking news to pass along. Some locations are experiencing ballot shortages due to the higher voter turnout. Election officials are telling people to stay in line, not to leave. They are right now working to bring more ballots to those certain locations that are impacted. Election officials expect those results to come in after midnight. And we're going to have all of them. All right. Well,
okay. How do you run out of paper ballots? Did you not expect a turnout? I mean, this has been the talk of Wisconsin for at least a good week or two now, right? How do you run out of paper ballots? It's weird. I don't understand how you could run out of paper ballots when you know that this is going to be a big election. People are talking about it and what have you. I don't understand how you run out of paper ballots. I don't. Somebody can explain it to me. I don't know. Anyway, but there's a silver lining, even though we didn't get the court seat. There is a silver lining. This is put out from President Trump on his Truth Social. Voter ID just approved in Wisconsin election. This is pretty good. Now, Wisconsin did already have voter ID laws in place, but this codifies it into the state constitution. So this is a good thing. This is a win for Wisconsin. I am a very big supporter of voter ID. It's not racist. The left will push that narrative, but it's not racist. Anybody who's a legal resident of the U.S. has the ability to get an identification card, driver's license, what have you. If you're a citizen of the U.S., you can. If you can't get a driver's license, you can get an identification card. You can get an ID. It's not hard to do. And for the left to come out and say that, oh well, there's some minority groups that aren't able to get IDs. That's not true. That's just calling people stupid. So they're calling their constituents stupid because they can't get an ID. That's what I think about it. That's how I feel. Look, you can say what you want. It's not hard to get an ID. It's not. You go down to the DMV, you get an ID. Doesn't matter if you're, you can still get an ID even with any kind of background. As long as you're a U.S. citizen, you can obtain an ID. Anyway, I digress. Again, Democrats fought hard against this, presumably so that they can cheat. This is a big win for Republicans. Maybe the biggest win of the night. It should allow us to win Wisconsin like I just did in the presidential election for many years to come. Yes, I think it's a good thing. I think that voter ID should be a nationwide thing. Every single state that went blue in the last presidential election, there was no ID requirements to vote. Every single one. I think voter ID is a good thing. It codifies. Look, I've said it before. I'll say it one more time. My opinion on voting, especially the presidential election. Presidential election voting day should be a national holiday. Should be paper ballots, and everybody has to go in to vote. Now, you vote in person. There's exceptions that I will look. Military personnel that's deployed, of course, they can vote. They can vote while they're abroad, while they're deployed, what have you. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with people who are disabled, who aren't actually able to go into a polling location to vote. I'm fine with that. Again, there's things that go into that you would have to prove being disabled. I don't imagine it would be too hard to do. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so. I mean, I know that it's not hard to get a doctor's note saying that you're disabled. I would imagine that would suffice as far as being able to vote remotely and not in person. Anyway, so I'm like, again, I'll say I'm a big fan of voter ID, and I think that people should vote in person. I think it should be a national holiday so that everybody can go in and vote in person, and it should be paper ballots. No more electronic, no more Dominion machines, blah, 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 all that crap. Vote in person, make it a national holiday so that people actually have the day off and they can have the time to actually go and vote. Even if you're in a small town, it takes you 5 minutes to get there. At least you've got that day to do it, and you don't have to worry about getting to work and yada, yada, yada. Make it a national holiday. Paper ballots, everything else. Anyway, that's all I got for today. Appreciate you hanging out through my rants. If you like what you saw, you can follow me here on Rumble. You can go to YouTube and subscribe to me there too. I don't know why you would, but just go to Rumble. Rumble's taking over, and it's gonna be the future. I think it's gonna overtake YouTube, but we'll see. Time will tell. They've already got the #1 time slot in every time slot from 9 a.m. all the way to 4 o'clock p.m. So go to Rumble. You can also follow me on X at @ThePoliticalRay. Again, I appreciate you hanging out, and I hope you all have a great day. God bless. Take care of each other.